Let's take a look at the first problem. What we've got is we've got 2/3 plus 1/6x is equal to 1 5/8. What we're going to do to solve this equation, first off, let's rewrite the problem. We've got 2/3 plus 1/6x is equal to 1 5/8. What your teachers might say to you is to use the inverse order of operations. What that means is that normally with the order of operations, you add and subtract last. With these equations, what we're going to do is we're going to add and subtract first. So let's subtract, in this case, 2/3. Subtract 2/3. You end up with 1/6x is equal to the result of 1 5/8 minus 2/3. Let's go off to the side and figure that out. We have 1 5/8 minus 2/3. 1 5/8 minus 2/3. You need a common denominator. You need a common denominator whenever adding and subtracting. So the common denominator, the way you find a common denominator is you first examine that first number, the largest number, which in this case is 8. You ask yourself, can 3 go into 8? It cannot. You ask yourself, can 3 go into 16? And it cannot. You're incrementing, you're counting by 8s. And then you ask yourself, can 3 go into 24? And it can go into 24. So your least common denominator is 24. You ask yourself 3 times what gives you the 24? And that's 8. You have to multiply the 3 by 8. So let's multiply the 2 by the same 8 that you multiply by down here. You get 16. And now you ask yourself what multiplied by 8 give you 24. In this case, it's a 3. So you multiply the 5 by 3, and you get 15. So you have 1 15 24ths minus 16 over 24. It turns out that for some, that's a rather difficult problem to solve because you've got a 15 minus a 16. You can't take 15 minus 16. So what you have to do is you're going to have to rewrite 1 15 24ths. All right. Another way to say 1 15 24ths. Let me try to zoom in on this a little bit more. See if we can zoom in a little bit more. Uh-oh. Well, I think that's the best we can do. That's the best we can do. All right. So let's take 1 from this whole number and add that 1 to the fraction. So let's take the 1 from the whole number and add the 1 to the 15 over 24, and we end up with 39 over 24. So I took the 1 from here, added the 1 to the 15 over 24. I got 39 over 24, and now we're going to subtract the 16 over 24 now. And now we've got the common denominator, and this number is now larger. So what you're going to end up with is just subtracting, and you end up with 9 minus 6 is 3, and you end up with 3 minus 1 is 2, common denominator of 24. All right, so that's a long way to go from subtracting these two fractions to getting this. All right, so now what we're going to do is multiply both sides by 6. And you end up with x is equal to 23 over 24 times 6. You can do some cross-canceling here. And you end up with, that's a 1, that's a 4. And you end up with the final answer of 23 over 4. 23 over 4, which is the same thing as 5 and remainder 3/4. Final answer, 5 3/4. So we just solved this equation. 2/3 plus 1/6x is equal to 1 5/8. And you end up with 5 3/4. What I want to do is I want to solve the same problem in another way. And what I'm calling that is mastery level understanding of a problem. Not only are you going to be able to solve a problem, you're going to be able to solve it in more than one way. But what we're going to do first is take our first phone call of the evening. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Chicago Students Dominate Math. How can we help you? Good evening, caller. How can we help you? Thank you for calling.
I had a question. We're doing fractions also.
Okay.
And we had to do, like, change the denominator, like, make it a common denominator. Like, let me give you an example. 1 3/8 plus 2 1/2.
1 3/8 plus 2 1/2.
Yes.
All right, let's take a look, okay?
Okay.
All right, so we have 1 3/8 plus 2 1/2. The first thing that I'd recommend you do is line the problems up, okay? You said
Okay.
1 3/8, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we have 1 3/8 plus 2 1/2, okay?
Okay.
All right, so what I want you to do is first know that it's very wrong. It's very wrong just to add here, say 3.
Yes.
To add, you're okay with that, right?
Yes.
Okay, why is it wrong to add right now?
Because you need to change the 2 to a common denominator, so it could be 8.
Very good, young lady.
Thank
All right,
you.
so let's look at the larger number. Ask yourself, can 2 go into 8 evenly?
Yes, by 4.
Very good. That means that 8 is your common denominator.
Yes.
Okay, so let's take a look. All right, so we bring the 1 over. 8 is our common denominator because
Yes.
2 can go into 8. So now you ask yourself, 2 times what will give you 8?
4.
All right, very good. So you multiply the denominator by 4 to get that. And now you're going to multiply this numerator by the same 4 that you
Yes.
multiplied here.
Okay.
So 1 times 4 is
4.
4. There is no difference between 2 1/2 and 2 4/8. There's no difference. In terms of value, there's no difference between 2 1/2 and 2 4/8. It's the exact same number. It's just that we've changed the denominator. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right, let's take a look at the other fraction. Now we've got the denominator 8. We multiply this by 1 to get that. Now we're going to multiply the 3 by 1 to get 3.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we have a common denominator, you can legally now add those fractions. 1 plus 2 is 3.
3.
Oh, go ahead. I'm listening to you.
3 plus 4
I'm listening.
is 7.
Very good, young lady. And what's our denominator?
3 7/8.
Outstanding, young lady. The first problem, and I was talking to you about we want a mastery level understanding. So not only are you going to be able to answer a question, you're going to be able to, as the name of our show says, you're going to be able to dominate a question in more than one way. So let's look at the same problem and solve that same problem in another way. Let's take a look. All right, so first time we got 5 3/4. Let's solve this problem in another way. So we've got 2/3 plus 1/6 x is equal to 1 5/8. Okay, it was equal to 1 5/8. But what I'm gonna, I'll just write that down. 1 5/8. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rewrite 1 5/8. There's another way we can rewrite 1 5/8 in terms of what we call an improper fraction. So let's rewrite this problem where I change 1 5/8 to an improper fraction. All right, so here we go. So I've got 2/3 plus 1/6 x is equal to, anyone know how to rewrite that 1 5/8? You know how to rewrite 1 5/8 as an improper fraction? If you know how to rewrite 1 5/8, I want you to call in right now. I'll wait for a couple seconds. You call in right now and you tell me how to rewrite 1 5/8. If I don't get a call in a couple seconds, I'm going to move on. But I want to see who's listening. Oh, we got a call right now. That's wonderful. We got some people listening. This is so wonderful. You put forth your best effort in your classes. and you don't quit. Whatever, I don't care how difficult it gets. You don't quit. You put forth your best effort. And we got somebody who's listening right now. Caller, tell me what I can do with this 1 5/8. Go ahead. Thank you for calling, okay?
Thank you. You would do, first off, you know that in order for you to get that one whole, it would be the numerator would be the same as the denominator, so it'd fill in as one whole. So it'd be 8/8.
Oh, what my question is, what can I do with 1 5/8? Do you know how to change that to an improper fraction?
Yes.
Go ahead, do that for me.
Okay, first you would take that one whole, which would be 8/8, and you would add it to the 5/8.
And what would you get?
And then you would get 13/8.
Outstanding. Thank you for calling, and thank you for watching, okay?
Yes, sir.
You don't quit, okay? You put forth your best effort in school, okay?
Okay.
All right, now. Thank you for calling. All right, so now that we've got 13/8, let's take a look at what we got. So now that we've got 2/3 plus 1/6x is equal to 13/8, which is the same thing as that 1 5/8. These have the same value. Now what we're going to do is we're going to multiply this entire equation by the least common denominator. And we find the least common denominator, again, by starting with the largest number, which in this case is 8. You ask yourself, can both 6 and 3 go into 8? And the answer is no. The answer is no, because 6 can't go into 8 and 3 can't go into 8, not evenly. And then you ask yourself, can you count by 8s? Can 3 or 6 go into 16? And the answer is no. No. 3 can't go into 16 and 6 can't go into 16, not evenly. And then you're counting by 8. So then you ask yourself, can both 3 and 6 go into 24? And the answer is yes. Both 3 and 6 can go into 24. So 24 is your least common multiple. Sometimes we call it a least common denominator. All right, so let's take a look. Let's multiply everything by the 24. All right, multiply everything by 24. All right, so 2/3, 24 times 2/3. Let's show all of our work. 2/3 times 24. The 3 cancels with the 8. That'll become an 8. And you get 16. 2 times 8 is 16. And now you multiply 24 times 1/6. 1/6x times 24. Again, the 6 cancels with the 24. That becomes a 4. And now that you have 4 times 1x, that's 4x. And now you multiply 13/8 times 24. Let's show the work right here. 13/8 times 24. The 8 cancels with the 24. You get 3. And 3 times 13 is 39. All right, so the beauty of multiplying by the least common multiple or the least common denominator is you go from a problem that looks sort of difficult with fractions to a problem that is no longer difficult. It's without fractions. So that's the advantage of multiplying by the least common denominator. So now we're going to use the inverse operations again. We're adding. That's a positive 16. Let's subtract 16 on both sides. You end up with 4x is equal to that. You subtract, you get 9 minus 6 is 3. 3 minus 1 is 2. And you divide by 4 on both sides. You get x is 23 over 4. Notice how we got 23 over 4 here, and we got 23 over 4 there. All right? Mastery level understanding.